Kentucky Derby.
Move around the turn. The leader, War Admiral, 2.5 for clear.
Next McRae is in the center of the racetrack. The Admiral sloop drawing alongside again.
War Emblem is still there. War Emblem, he's pulling away. He's got another gear. Yeah, the sweat thing coming the Derby. Wheel away takes command. Lion Heart is all heart. Smarty Jones is all out. And here is the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle's low of 1976.
Another morning here, Derby week at the historic Churchill Downs, when we will be graced by the presence of the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks 151 trainees getting ready to roll on this first weekend in May. We're also joined by all the fans of this sport coming out for Dawn at the Downs here at Churchill Downs. Welcome. It's going to be a great morning to see them hit the track. It's Wednesday, 5-0 Tuesday yesterday. Wednesday, the focus turns to the Louisville local nonprofit community. Our first year doing this. Fantastic to see this focus in terms of our themes this week. 62 degrees, partly cloudy, fast main track, humid out there. Let's talk about headlines. Japanese Kentucky Derby duo Admire Daytona and Luxor Cafe breezed yesterday. Great to see them do a little bit serious work and get our clearer picture of those Japanese invaders. Take Charge Milady, the Kim McPeak trainee, remains on target for the Oaks. Black-Eyed Susan will be the backup plan as McPeak looks to win back-to-back Kentucky Oaks. And of course, Wednesday, a stacked card, 2 stakes, the Isaac Murphy Marathon and the William Walker Turf Sprint headline the card here today, so definitely stick around with us. We've got the betting action for you. We've got journalism schooling in the paddock during race 1 yesterday. What a classy guy he has been ever since he hit the track coming in from California for trainer Mike McCarthy. During race 1, he was able to show his composure, show his mind. He's a calm sort, ready to put in a good run as the morning line favorite for the Kentucky Derby, likely post-time favorite. Kevin Kilroy with you here on the desk with the one, the only Tony Kalo. Mr. Kalo, good morning.
Good morning, Kev.
Yesterday, you gave the people what they wanted. That was winners, 5 out of 9 on top, 8-1 long shot, and that late pick 5 on a very skinny ticket, $3,200 payout. Are you going to stay hot? That's what the people want to know.
I certainly hope so. A little humid walking in here and had a little sweat dripping, so I think I am still hot. I've got the fan rolling. How about journalism schooling in the paddock race 1? Those $16,000 claimers must have been like, oh my goodness, who has Pletcher jammed in on us here?
We've got a classy sort jammed in on us too, Tony. We've got James Scully up on the 4th floor, PhD in Kentucky Derby, the one that tells me stories that I love to hear about this year's runners, about last year's champions. James, how's it going on the 4th floor?
It's going great. Good morning, Kevin, Tony. All the final major preparations are done for the Kentucky Derby and Oaks horses. It's a matter of keeping them happy and healthy now. And we'll get to see how they're moving over the track in these final days as they do light training. Santa Anita Derby winner journalism has been an imposing presence since he arrived at Churchill. And for more on the Kentucky Derby favorite, let's throw it to Caitlin Free on the backstretch.
Well, thank you, Scully. Another beautiful morning here at Churchill Downs. Tony's right. It's a little humid. I'm still kind of chilly, which is quite typical for me, I would say. But journalism, it has not turned a hair since he has arrived here at Churchill Downs. I really liked what I saw from him when he was schooling in the paddock yesterday. I'm going to catch up with Michael McCarthy, his trainer, very shortly to talk definitely some more journalism here. I really liked what I saw also yesterday morning from Admire Daytona as well as Luxor Cafe. Admire Daytona going in company with the Dale Romans trainee. So liked what I saw from them. I've liked what I've seen from everyone else here on the Downs. And we're going to be seeing a lot of routine gallops this morning with a lot of that heavy lifting already done.
Thank you, Caitlin. It's been great having you on the backside, getting the inside information, getting the scoop. We'll hear from your interview with Mike McCarthy in a little bit. And for now, let's take a look at that field for the 151st Kentucky Derby, Tony. Everybody has been talking about the draw. It definitely affected the shape of this. We've got the speed drawn to the inside. Who do you think, if any of those, will be leading when we get to that first turn for this Derby?
Well, I do believe it will be one of Bob's horses. Citizen Bull is the one that I would probably bet the beer on, trying to make the lead to the clubhouse turn with the rail positioning and that real brisk work the other day.
Yeah.
That was effortless, by the way.
It was very fast, very good. He seems to be on the muscle. Of course, we've got the closers, Sandman, Sovereignty, big time contenders there, 6-1, 5-1 in the morning line. Do you think they are going to be able to work out a smooth trip, a clean trip from those outside spots? Is it going to be difficult?
You know, I think they have the ability to work out clean trips. You know, that's difficult to predict a few days out. We have to see how the gates open and, you know, see how it all develops.
All right, Baeza's sitting there on the outside looking in. Interesting to see him put his move, his breeze on Monday, come right back to the track and gallop 1.25 miles. We've got, you know, an interesting one in there for sure. His speed figures fit in a big way. Love to see Baeza draw in, but of course, love all the 20 that are in there, so don't want to see any defections. Admire Daytona, Japanese Invader, UAE Derby winner, Cyrus Drafong. He seems game. Very good wire-to-wire win in that UAE Derby. He was moving on the track yesterday with a runner from the Dale Romans barn. We've seen this before, that they're great diplomats for the Japanese, and we saw the work yesterday. And he's moving with the Dale Romans runner. Great day for hockey. A good morning worker, not necessarily successful in the afternoons. Maybe he's moving forward. But we've got this move. We've got Caitlin Free on the backside, always offering good insights on the international horses in our sport. What do you think about Admire Daytona being teamed up here with another runner, not going solo?
Well, I think it's just kind of shows a testament to Admire Daytona's gameness. I think he gets a lot more competitive when he's working in company or he's in a race format. He's a horse that he's busy. In his mind, he kind of comes out, he's doing things, he's hollering a little bit. So I think this kind of keeps his mind really on business when he's working in company.
I like that. The busy is just a great way to describe what we've seen from him, Tony. We've just seen him sort of be talking to himself, playing, making noises. Caitlin's captured it, tweeted it out to the people. What do you think about his action?
I find his action a little awkward. He seems a little choppy to me. You know, he just doesn't reach like some of the other horses. But hey, you know, every horse has a different way of going with their stride.
We were able to catch up with his trainer, Yukiro Kato, through translator Yoshi Hashida yesterday. Let's hear what they have to say about this move.
ドバイからこっちに来て体の回復に努めてたんだけども
So from the way from Dubai to come here, we are trying to recover the horses. That's a priority from last week. And we had a breeze last week, and we checked how he goes, the movement, and also how he plays as well. And he feels like a little bit more push we need in this week. So we find a partner from local horses, thanks for that. And we are very happy with his movement today. And I think we works well. So we get used to the Japanese system. So we have to, we would like to clock as our systems. So if we are leaders, we can just clock exactly what we want. So that's why we get the front. He thinks that usually we train an wood chip course back in Japan. So here he feels like a little bit harder, farmer ground. So the less, one week less is benefit for us.
Awesome. We've got Caitlin Free ready to interview Mike McCarthy, trainer of the Morning Line favorite in the Kentucky Derby journalism.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Please be joined here on the backside by one of the most popular men here this week on the backside. It is Michael McCarthy, trainer of our Morning Line favorite journalism in the Kentucky Derby. You and Umberto Rispoli brought endlessly here in 2024. He ran really well at a pretty big price. Does that kind of give you an extra level of preparedness here this season now that you both have been there, done that?
I've done it quite a few times, obviously being an assistant for Todd Pletcher. Probably been in the paddock with about 20 different runners or so. So I have a pretty good feel of what goes into it, what the day entails and what have you. Umberto's ridden the race a few times now. Last year's experience was pretty uneventful. We're looking for the same thing to happen again here this year.
Absolutely. And journalism, obviously a very different horse. He is a really well-rounded candidate for a race like the Kentucky Derby. He's got a lot of tools in his arsenal. What do you think really sets him apart from this field?
Yeah, there's so much to like about him. I can't tell you where to start. Obviously, the physical aspect, you see what he looks like. He's a very imposing horse. He's not real tall, but covers a lot of ground. He got unbelievable mechanics, moves wonderfully. His mind is very, very good. You see he's very laid back out here on the racetrack this week, and that's only gonna suit him for what's about to happen here on Saturday. 150,000 people, plenty of noise, plenty of music, plenty of things going on. So he's been cool, he's been calm. He was great in the paddock yesterday, so we'll probably take him over there a little bit later this week and try to emulate the same thing.
Trainer Alsaw Jr. was quoted as saying this horse has no wasted movement no matter what he's doing. Does some of that agility as well as his power kind of come into play early on in a race with a 20-horse field?
Yeah, I think there's going to be, obviously, anytime you race like this, 1.25 miles, 20 horses, but the 1.25 miles, there's going to be a handful of horses that will go ahead and get the distance. I think genetics comes into play at some point, just the way these horses move. You know, he seems to have plenty of stamina. He's got a wonderful pedigree, top and bottom, bred for 2 turns, bred for route and classic distances. So, like I said, it's hard to fault him. I could go on and on about him.
Are you a handicapper along with being a trainer? Do you kind of look at races and map them out based on what you see on form, or are you a leg them up and see what happens type of a guy?
Look for 3 things: controlling speed, stalking speed, and then anybody that could be a closer, deep closer, or what have you. So, judging by my horse's style, I have a fairly decent idea of where I'd like him to be in the running. Obviously, 20 horses, a bit of a cavalry charge into the first turn. So what you're hoping for is when you turn up the backside, you're in the position you want to be in.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. Best of luck this week, and it's been a pleasure having you guys here.
Thank you very much.
Michael McCarthy, trainer of journalism, coming up in the Kentucky Derby. It has been fantastic to watch what he's done in the mornings. Excited what he does on Saturday.
Yeah, the sport's waiting to see if he's the goods. He showed us everything that you want in terms of winning his races, in terms of his movement on the track. So cheers to the barn, who have done such a good job with journalism. Of course, Luxor Cafe, the other Japanese runner here, who has been getting things done in the hyacinths and the steak I can't ever pronounce, but the fukuryu. I've been so impressed with Luxor Cafe. He galloped before.
Talk about trusting your luck.
I trusted my luck big time there. He galloped before his work yesterday. We got to see his jockey for the Derby, João Moreira, aboard for his work. Fractions were a little bit on the slow side. He went solo, but I was super impressed with his move. What you saw yesterday, Tony, again, the same sort of question. Does this clarify your handicapping of Luxor Cafe?
Well, I don't know if it clarifies it, but I definitely am not discouraged, that's for sure. I like him better than Admire Daytona. I liked his turn of foot in the race you just pronounced, which I'm not going to do because I'm not going to trust my luck. But, he had a sudden burst, a very nice turn of foot, great acceleration off the turn in that lead up for the Derby. And I think I've heard Caitlin mention that he has figures that are comparable to journalism's from a speed standpoint. I'm watching him. We just saw Admire Daytona. I see a horse here with a nice stride. He levels off pretty powerfully.
Yeah, what about you, James? You've been studying this sport, watching this sport closely, seeing these Japanese invaders come over throughout the years. Where does he rank in your estimation?
Well, he doesn't have the reputation of Forever Young, who was undefeated coming here last year and ran a close third, but he qualified Luxor Cafe in the same manner as T.O. Password, who had a troubled trip and ran 5th last year. And I think Luxor Cafe's form is definitely better. He's won 4 straight. Got a beautiful stride, and he's going to be an off-the-pace type that might get the right setup. So, a lot to like about him. Clearly bred for the distance, too, guys.
Yeah, he is, absolutely. I've loved his acceleration. Visually, he passes my eye test in a big way. Sovereignty, likely closer, draws to the outside, trained by Bill Mott. Going to get Junior Alvarado back in the irons after he was out with the injury. Manny Franco guided him to that second-place finish in the Florida Derby. Sovereignty is one who's got success over the track. We can see him moving here yesterday. Tony, this is one that I think you've got interested in, maybe from future wagers, possibly when it comes down to it, the day of the Derby. Are you still loving this horse as much as we did when we saw him running the Iroquois?
Without a doubt. Without a street sense he ran in, but yes, without a doubt, Kev.
Thank you.
A big, powerful individual. Talk about a horse who visually passes the eye test. Look at this guy. He's absolutely beautiful. And he has. Michael Canali, thank you very much. They're telling me he's looked better every day. Indeed, he has. He seems to be coming into this race in good order. He likes the racetrack. I'd love the Fountain of Youth. What a final furlong on a racetrack that favors speed with a short run to the wire. Had to come back a little quick in the Florida Derby, and he still ran well. I think he is a major threat to journalism. I still have them 1-2, and I'm not wavering.
All right, we've got another closer, or likely closer. Possibly could be a little more forward than Sovereignty or Sandman. Had a tough little break at the beginning last time. Was able to run down East Avenue to win the Bluegrass. Trained by Ian Wilkes. Brian Hernandez Jr. will look for 2 in a row. Look at this monster on the track yesterday. You just don't see quite this sort of bowed head. It's just he's loving life right now. Scully, have you ever seen in all your morning workout show seen a horse sort of put his head like this and then tout himself in the morning?
Well, I do remember Always Dreaming. Now, he was a lot more ranked in Burnham Square, but yeah, he was moving around the track like that in the early Derby week when he arrived here to Louisville. Burnham Square is a horse that once Ian Wilkes put blinkers on him, it really, his form went forward, broke his maiden by 9 lengths, really loved his late kick in the Holy Bull and in the Bluegrass, a perfect prep in the Bluegrass. I had some concerns about his speed numbers and about the distance, but those are sort of going away just based on how he's training here at Churchill. He's coming into the race in great shape.
Yeah, he really is. Cheers to the barn as well for getting this guy, I think, ready to run his best race of his career. And that's the question, because he might have to step up just a little bit to take on the likes of journalism. All right, we've got Rodriguez, another big-time player, winner of the Wood Memorial last out. The works from this guy have been impressing me. I don't want to use him. I want to fade him. Seems like I need the lead type, but he's running very well deep into his moves. Bob Baffert trains him, 1 of 2 as well as Citizen Bull. Is this going to be his day? You can't sleep on Baffert's winner of 6 derbies so far in his career. Let's see him on the track, and let's get the thoughts of Caitlin Free. Rodriguez, is he impressing you in terms of his gallops, in terms of his moves in the morning?
He is. I will say, though, there's really not a horse as far as Derby or Oaks that has looked bad to me at all in the morning, and they're not supposed to because they're the highest level caliber of horses. I just have questions about Rodriguez. He's visually impressive in the morning. He's a really physically nice type of a horse. He's just got one way of going, and the way Bob's kind of ran him against some of his other stablemates, he's not been quite as impressive against them. He sent him over to the Wood Memorial to get an easy win. I just have question marks about his ability in a race like this.
Yeah, he's able to get to the front and take him all the way last time. Grande coming in second behind him. But it was definitely 2 very interesting entries in the Derby coming out of New York. All right, we've got Twin Spires always in our pocket, always ready to bet and to wager, and they're always have our back, Tony. They've had my back these first 2 days of races with the money back offer.
Yeah, great deal. Your first $10 win bet, if your horse happens to run second or third, Twin Spires will give you back that $10, which is pretty cool, because sometimes you might forget you made the bet, and all of a sudden, or you might forget about the promotion, and there's the $10 in the account, and you can keep on punting.
Yeah, keep on punting. That's the key, right? That's what we want.
That's what we want.
That's what we want.
Without having to refuel the ATM, go to the ATM, right?
You can see the fans, see the media lining up. Again, welcome to everybody here for Dawn at the Downs. 5G, she was out earlier this morning. We won't see her during this period, but you can see her moving well at coming out of that Gulfstream Oaks.
Place your bets with Twin Spires Handicapping Insights, our expert picks, or just by choosing a name that catches your eye. No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires. Get your money back if your horse finishes second or third in eligible races.
Like the Kentucky Derby, Woodford Reserve Bourbon is a spectacle for the senses.
All right, we can see the harrow break in the process as the tractors make their rounds here at Churchill Downs. Morning workout show. Kevin Kilroy, Tony Kalo with you. Fast track, partly cloudy, 62 degrees. Rain is holding out for us. Thank the heavens. All right, we've got exciting new series going on here. You can find it up on YouTube. Amazing to see what it takes to get to the Kentucky Derby, not just for the horses, but the connections, right? The jockeys, trying to find that mount. Jose Ortiz, somebody who moved this tack to Kentucky, an Eclipse award-winning jockey, came to Kentucky, had his success, got his title, went to Fairgrounds searching for that mount. Did he find it there? Did he find it elsewhere? You can follow along his story with the new series coming up. Here's the series clip to give you a little bit of teaser. We got video number 5 up there today.
We haven't talked about a couple of horses we probably need to talk about. Sandman, maybe this will be the day that he'll be able to finally seal the deal.
When Jose comes into the paddock, Jose will know what every horse is going to do.
That means we're ready to go. They're off in the 89th Arkansas Derby slow break from the maiden.
It's close to the Derby, it's the last spread, so that's when you want the horse to really take off.
And Sandman, he's run his A race, and he gets a confidence booster heading to Kentucky. That's all!
Okay, we got one.
All right, Journey to the Derby. Love this series. Jose Ortiz is the focus. Find it up on YouTube. We're dropping an episode every day. Jose Ortiz, what do you think? Sandman, I think he straightened him out nicely there after a little bit of greenness. This is a good fit.
Yeah, definitely a very good fit, and I'm happy Jose was able to finally get his Derby mount. He was chasing a few prospects, and he finally landed on a pretty good one with Sandman.
All right, Chunk of Gold. Talk about a horse that's maybe flying under the radar, going to offer a price. Second in the Risen Star, second in the Louisiana Derby, training at Turfway Park. Ethan West gets up on him every morning as trainer. Chunk of Gold galloping with us yesterday. Tony, I'm not sure if you saw him work at Turfway, but he definitely was training up there. He's got an interesting stalking running style. Do you think this is a bomb that we just have to use on our tickets?
You know, perhaps, maybe a little bit underneath. I'm not sure from a win end. I have some concerns with the mile and the quarter. I'm looking at his form, and he seemed like his 2 better races from a finishing standpoint were at the shorter distances. I thought at the mile and 3/16 Louisiana Derby, he got a little tired inside the final 16th, but it's hard not to root for this horse and his connections. They only paid $2,500 for him, and anybody who's owned a racehorse, what a thrill, to get to the Kentucky Derby and then with a horse that only cost $2,500.
Reminds me of California Chrome, right? Could be a similar sort of story. Chunk of Gold, Ethan West up, galloping here, getting used to the Churchill Downs track. Now, Baeza, we saw him move on Monday, put in a drill. I thought it was a solid effort in terms of that workout. Usually we have a walk day from horses as they just sort of cool out and recover from that move. He was back galloping 1.25 miles. We can see him on the track yesterday. Sitting on the outside looking in, running second to Journalism last out. His figures are there, lightly raced, slightly seasoned. Kalen Free, any knocks on him in terms of what you've seen from him in the morning or in terms of his resume coming in?
No knocks from what I've seen on him in the morning. He's a horse that is going to be able to run all day, but my impressions of Baeza as far as resume goes, I think he's one race away from his best. Should he get in the Derby, I feel like I would be against him. I think it's a lot for him really, really soon, but should he turn around in a race like the Preakness or the Belmont, I think I'd be a little bit more inclined to really consider him a win contender. I just think he's got too many things stacked against him as far as this type of a race with this many horses, this fresh in his career. He still is only a maiden winner. There's a couple of just maiden winners or publisher who's not even won a maiden in this race, but they're a little bit more advanced than Baeza is. I think the best is still to come for him.
Yeah, Flavien Prat named to ride Baeza if he's to draw in. That's his first call. We saw Baeza gallop out past Journalism in that San Diego Derby. Sheriff's always said distance is the key. If he doesn't draw in, Flavien Prat's got another mount on Neo Equos. We can see the stats on this Safi Joseph Jr. runner, Florida Derby placings, Fountain of Youth placings. Another one under the radar, draws on the inside, has speed. Is he gonna send? Is he gonna go? Is he gonna try to steal it? Any shot for this bomb, Tony?
Well, he's going to have to run the race of his life. His post position isn't going to help his chances either because there's plenty of speed inside and outside. He figures with him drawing post position too, I just think it definitely ensures a very fast pace. You look at his form and he is forwardly positioned in all of his races.
Yeah, he's forwardly positioned. I don't see him getting the distance, especially seeing his work. Seems like he tires a little bit, but Safi Joseph, definitely strong win percentage, comes here with horses all the time for the Derby, and we'll see if this one is the goods. Flavien Prat up. The Oaks field can't sleep on these fillies. The 151st run for that Lily's coming up, and here's the first 9 entries. We can see La Cara, Mark Casse trainee, very sharp work from her after her big run in the Ashland.
Yeah, very, very quick, 46 seconds. She really likes it here. You know, I've been a fan of her since the very beginning. I think she's going to have to step up just a little bit. She's going to have to deal with other pace. There's the favorite on the outside, Good Cheer in post position 11, a deserving favorite. She's unblemished.
She's got speed. Cassie said she's going to go. We also have 5G with speed, Tenma with speed. They all draw right next to each other. It's going to be an interesting break. Here's 5G, trained by George Weaver on the track yesterday. She was out early this morning, as I mentioned. I think she's got a big-time shot. Her figure's fit for me.
Another one that wants to be forward. You didn't even mention Fondley, who's never been around 2 turns, who draws an inside post, just kind of very similar to the Kentucky Derby. I see quite a bit of pace on paper in the Oaks as well. Something we'll have to give.
Tenma, another pace player, big time form, 2 back out at Santa Anita, then last out there in the Santa Anita Oaks. The figures went south. Maybe they went fast early, just got a little tired late. Trained by Bob Baffert. You give her, you think she's dangerous, James Scully?
I do.
Scully, do you think she's dangerous? Do you think she can get back into form? Should we ever sleep on a Bob Baffert entry?
Yeah, I think she is a candidate to get back in form. I definitely think Tenma and Citizen Bull both took a step, a significant step back upon their previous performance in the last prep, coming back from a 2-month freshening. Don't see Bob Baffert freshen his horses for 2 months too often with horses that are under consideration for the Derby or Oaks. And he's definitely tightened the strings on Tenma, I believe, with some really solid drills. And I think she's eligible to run back to her Las Virginias performance 2 back that was very impressive.
Yeah, if she did, she's a major player. There's no doubt about that. We've got the 1-2 from that last run up in New York in terms of early on, and Ballerina d'Oro. Here's early on, trained by Safi Joseph Jr., went to the Virginia Oaks, ran a good second to Fondley, another second to Ballerina d'Oro. Any excuses, Tony, in terms of how that race played out up at Aqueduct?
Well, you know, I don't recall many. I thought she ran pretty well. She's actually really stepped her game up the last 4 races in comparison to her races at Saratoga. But Saratoga, as I mentioned, is really tough to win as a 2-year-old. Another one that I think, you know, you look at her raw speed figures and they just don't match up against the big girls.
Yeah, they don't quite match up. I got to say, she did all the dirty work on the front end. We saw Ballerina d'Oro, who we'll take a look at here on the track next. This beautiful grade trained by Chad Brown. She was able to pick up the pieces late. I thought early on was impressive to gallop out past Ballerina d'Oro. Now, gallop outs after the finish line aren't the full story. You never know how much they'll pull back from the run after they take care of the business. But Kaylin, beautiful gray. She's gonna catch the eye of a lot of bettors out there. Is she catching your eye here on the track?
She has. She is by far, I think, the biggest horse in this year's Kentucky Oaks, no question. The distance will never be a problem for Ballerina d'Oro. I think she's going to be a player in this race. She should get the type of pace that she wants to run at in here, so we'll see if she's good enough against the likes of Good Cheer, but she certainly is coming into this race, I think, with a very valid shot.
Yeah, we talked about the pace, Tony. You mentioned that the pace could heat up. A horse like Ballerina d'Oro, a horse like Good Cheer, who's the favorite, a closer could get it done here. So no matter how you're seeing the race, no matter how you're attacking it and putting your opinions together, we've got Twin Spires getting the tournaments ready to go for you to express those opinions, right? You can do it in the windows. You can also do it in the betting challenge on May 3rd or in that qualifier on Thurby or on Oaks Day. Tony, What do you think? A fun way to attack the races?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I love the handicapping tournaments, and I love what Twin Spires has been doing with them. Pretty cool, and you got a feeder coming up for $800 and $1,000, trying to get you into this very, very cool tournament that costs 5 G's to enter.
All right, the track is almost ready. The horses are lining up in the gaps. We've got my son Louie's top pick in the Kentucky Derby, Owen Almighty, who is getting ready here for Brian Lynch. He's on the far outside. He's got speed, likely to sit right off of it. We'll see if he's got a shot. So see if my son Louie is right. Owen Almighty ready to roll.
As they head to the back stretch, it's a tight pack.
He's going to pull ahead. The Twin Spires expert picks were all optimistic.
You've got the best speed rating in the field. Don't fail me now.
Man, I love this horse's name.
And from far behind, here comes Frank. It's neck and neck. Frank is winning. Frank wins!
Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires. The official... No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires, the official betting partner of the Kentucky Derby. Get your money back if your horse finishes second or third in eligible races.
All right, Baeza, back again. And Sheriff was talking about how he's going to keep the screws tight and relax as we get closer to Saturday. So back to Gallup. We'll see what he does on the track here as we prepare for this special time in the morning, 7:15 to 7:30, where only Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks runners are able to get on the track for the viewing pleasure of everybody at home and, of course, everybody here at the track with Dawn at the Downs. Sandman. We also have Rodriguez, the Baffert duo, journalism behind him. They're all getting ready to roll. You can see the fans lining up, Tony.
Yeah, you can also see the size of journalism just in the right there when he was behind Rodriguez. Just an imposing individual. He is incredible. He's King Kong for a reason.
Yeah, what a nickname, King Kong.
Look at him.
Yeah, this is.
I mean, that is a specimen. That is a powerful looking equine right there.
Yeah, and I like that he's just sort of walking around a little bit, strutting his stuff next to the boys, right? Letting them know that I'm here, right? You've got to recognize that I am in the house. Journalism, Mike McCarthy's runner, hasn't done anything wrong since he's been here. Tistastic, a late kicker, trained by Steve Asmussen. What do you think, James? You've got your deep history of the Kentucky Derby. Steve yet to win it. All-time winningest trainer in our sport, one of the best horsemen around, Hall of Famer. Tistastic, is this going to be the one?
Well, he's a little bit up against it, considering horses like journalism and sovereignty. But I will say this about Tistastic. He was just banging around in his first 4 or 5 stakes, finished second or third a bunch of times. He took a huge step forward in the Louisiana Derby. We saw Two Phils do that a couple of years ago in the Jeff Ruby Stakes and carry that form forward in the Derby. And I think Tistastic's a contender to come running late for a minor award. That's how I'm viewing his chances, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, Steve always says it. He can get the distance. He moves forward with more distance. He's going to get extra distance on Saturday. Of course, I think we just saw Sandman there, but back to journalism as he continues to wait. He wants to get out and strut his stuff. Rodriguez standing calmly next to him. It's good to see, in the gaps with the crowds. It's like schooling in the paddock, how they're handling themselves. So Rodriguez, keeping cool, keeping calm. I mean, I think he's looked fantastic. I got questions about him passing horses. It's hard to do that. But in terms of the Baffert 2, he's the one that I am leaning towards. All right, they're making their move out to the main track. Still a beautiful morning here. We can see what they're going to prepare for. Citizen Bull, of course, ahead of them. Caitlin, when Citizen Bull got to the track, do you remember how aggressive he was, how on the muscle he was? Do you think you've seen him relax a little bit? Do you think he's settling into his environment?
He's been a horse that I don't think he is necessarily a high-strung type of a horse. I just think that he is on the muscle all the time. Bob has worked him quite a bit leading up to this race. I think he's worked 5 times in the last 20-something days. So just a horse that is full of energy at this point.
Yeah, of course, you're talking about Citizen Bowl. I know we're looking at journalism. So that's a good diagnosis of him, because you want that energy, I think, Tony, in terms of thinking about Rich Strike. He had tons of energy. He was on the track before his big upset win. Fierceness, I thought, was flat. Mage was just being so professional, trying to find the distance, in terms of his win a couple years back. Journalism, there's been no knocks on him. He's going to take a ton of money. As we see the Asmussen duo, we can see Scott Blasi on the pony, escorting Tistastic, Steve Asmussen himself escorting Publisher. Blinkers went on, Tony, for that most recent one in the Arkansas Derby. An equipment change in the final preparation race, did that give you concern, or do you trust that this is the horse that we want to assess in terms of our handicapping?
I'm not going to question any equipment change by any trainer, because I've never trained a racehorse. I've mucked plenty of stalls over my years, but as far as physically training them, I've advised my ex-girlfriend at times when to work a horse or what distances. But I like equipment changes. I think it's a key handicapping. Rodriguez ran well without the blinkers in the wood, and Publisher ran well with the blinkers. I've always been a big fan of positive moves with equipment changes.
Here we see the Virginia Derby winner, American Promise. I think he's a very dangerous presser. I think that will be his running style, not try to get to that lead, but sit right off of it. He is a monster. He's huge, just a beautiful chestnut, trained by Coach Dwayne Lucas and James Scully. I mean, you know the history of this sport. Lucas has got it done on this big day in the past, right?
Yeah, he's a 4-time Kentucky Derby winner. I believe he's won 15 Triple Crown races. He's a living legend, the coach Dwayne Lucas. And American Promise is a horse after didn't run very well in his first 2 stake starts this year in the Risen Star Southwest. Really turned things around in the Virginia Derby. That was 7 weeks ago, and after the race, Lucas said he'd probably run him one more time in the break and wound up just training him up to the race. So I'm a little bit concerned he might be a race short. Definitely going to be hustling from the gate, but he's not going to be a horse that's on my tickets, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a signature move from Coach, right? Usually we see him continue to race, continue to build up those races, even approaching the big day. So 7 weeks, does it give you pause, Tony?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. Also, the fact that he wins the Virginia Derby, the first ever edition of the Virginia Derby, which was a 1 mile or a 1-turn race. So it should be noted with that. And then when you match him up against Magnitude and Sandman and Tistastic, he's up the racetrack. So, he does have a maiden victory over Publisher, but I'm not going to have him on my tickets either. I will have him in the all button.
All right, we've got
in the 4th leg of the Super.
Bless the Broken, trained by Will Walden. This you got to see this filly down at Fairgrounds. Of course, she won last out in that Bourbonnette. Looked very good at Turfway Park. Tony, let's keep it with you. How did you assess that race? Did she run huge? Did she beat good company? Where's she at in your ranks of these fillies?
I give her a puncher's chance, no question about it. I think the level of competition in the Bourbonnette Oaks was a little less than what she had faced. I thought she ran well in her races in New Orleans, 2nd to Simply Joking and 3rd to Good Cheer. And I thought it was a very good move by Will Walden to get the points at Turfway. I think she has a chance. It's supposed to rain. She has a good second. She comes from off the pace. We're anticipating a good flow. At 30-1, you could do a lot worse.
All right, we've talked about the way that journalism has been holding himself on the track. We can see it here. He's got his neck bowed. He's got that nice movement. Caitlin, in terms of his strut, I know I'm just not good in terms of talking about horses outside the racetrack. What sort of movement is he doing? What sort of steps is he doing? How would you describe the way that he's prancing? Is this prancing? Caitlin, talk to us about it.
He almost sometimes looks like a dressage horse. Al Stahl Jr., I was talking to Michael McCarthy, said there is no wasted movement on this horse, and I think that's a perfect way to describe it. He is the perfect combination of agile as well as powerful. He has a great late kick. He's light on his feet. I think he's one of the only horses in this year's Derby that has the key ability to stop and start. And I mean, he has a beautiful stride, but he's able to collect himself really, really well. And just the way he moves is so fluid. This is how you want a Derby contender to look.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Tony, what are your thoughts? I mean, in terms of seeing his movement, obviously impressive. We're calling him King Kong. Does this give you all the confidence in the world that you want to use him on your tickets? Absolutely. Do you want to single him? Do you want to key him? What do you want to do with him as a bettor?
As a bettor, I mean, you cannot, you have to use him. I'm going to use him in Sovereignty up top if we're playing a super or any type of a, multi-race wager. I'm going to key with those two. He's absolutely awesome. Look at him. I mean, that's what you want your Kentucky Derby favorite to look like. Question marks with the field sizes that he's raced against. Caitlin just mentioned something about the ability to stop and start. That is very, very important in a race that's going to be as compact through the turns as the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, he got stopped in that far turn in the Santa Anita Derby, was able to re-rally and regather. Now, it takes him a little bit. He's a big guy, but he was definitely able to offer a nice run to run down Baeza. We've got Rodriguez on the track. Excited to see how this guy's energy is. I think he's been working hard. I think they've been trying to keep him cranked and moving forward as we stay with journalism here.
Look at him. Well, we should stay with him. There's no reason to go away. He visually passes the eye test. He's awesome, that's for sure. I think Sovereignty, like I said, I'm not going to waver away from my top two picks for the last couple of months. He is doing everything you want, journalism. And when it's all said and done, if we're 3-1 or $7.80, $2 win payoff, boy, that's not a bad price.
If the bettors, James Scully, let's go to you. If the bettors were to do something a little bit different than we're expecting in the market, and maybe let this one slip off at 9-2, would that be intriguing to you? 4-1? Would you? What type of price would you think? Oh, wait a minute, journalism is totally worth it. He's the one. What price do you think would interest you to bet him to win?
Well, I do think that we have the potential. He's 3-1 on the morning line. I think he could be 7-2. I mean, American Pharaoh was 2.80 to 1. That was pretty, it's hard to get real short in a 20-horse field. Some other contenders of interest in this group. So I wouldn't be surprised. I definitely don't think he'll be 5-2. If he is 3-1, it's still going to be close to 7-2 in my mind because I do think some other horses will take money, Kevin.
All right, we've got another.
Scully, you going to give me 7-2 right now? I got 100 in the pocket for you.
We've got American Promise movement. You can see his sort of lower head carriage, and this is what you see in the races too. Big guy, moving well. Nick Juarez is going to ride him in the Kentucky Derby as he was up for the Virginia Derby. Not sure how long he went. What do you think about this action that you're seeing right now? He's definitely being held back, opened up just a little bit there. Maybe seemed a little tight. What do you think?
Well, he's concluding his gallop,
yeah.
So he's all done. We can't really gauge too much with the action there. He is a very good physical specimen himself. That's the one thing I've been very impressed with so far in all of these shows with the Derby works is just the some of these horses, they are really put together.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the figures we're seeing, they're not quite as fast as past years yet, right? But physically, I've just been floored. I've been floored. Rodriguez, we've got Rodriguez. We've been waiting for him, and now we're getting to see him here on the track, moving. How is he moving? How is his ears? I like to look at his ears, like to look to see what the rider is asking him to do. You were talking about the reach when we were looking with Admire Daytona earlier. What's his energy? Reading a horse's energy, sometimes it's just an intuitive thing, a natural thing. Does he seem spirited? Does he seem flat? Caitlin Free, what does Rodriguez seem like to you this Wednesday morning ahead of the Saturday's run?
Physically, I think he looks very, very good here in this gallop. You guys talked about reach earlier a little bit with Admire Daytona. I kind of spoke to the fact that I think a lot of it has to do with he does his best running in a race format or in company. Rodriguez, his reach is slightly better. You're going to see maybe a little bit of a bigger reach with a horse like Journalism, like American Promise a little bit. Rodriguez still a big horse, maybe just a little bit more on the compact side as compared to them, but he's a really nice mover.
He is a nice mover. In the works in the morning, we've seen just continue to be asked for run deep into the work, right? Trying to get the distance. I like for signs like that, right? When you see the trainer that, not just kind of standing up after 5 furlongs and just, hoping we kind of get it, hoping we get the trip, or just knowing it genetically. He's trying to push him. And Bafford's got 6 wins, trying to get more at him, trying to get the distance. Does he need the lead? What do you think? We haven't seen him pass horses. That's what makes me think that he will be at the front when we get to that first turn in the Kentucky Derby. What do you think, Tony? Does he need the lead?
Well, I don't know if he necessarily needs the lead. He just hasn't shown the ability to win without getting the lead.
Right.
The thing that I'm a little concerned is when he raced against Citizen Bull, when he raced against Barnes, both stablemates, he was asked not to show the speed.
Huh.
The blinkers went off recently. I think there's some question marks with the distance, with the Cherokee run blood underneath. The dam has a little bit more one-turn type of runs. I do like the fact he responded nicely to the equipment change with the blinkers off. Other than Grande, I'm not sure what was behind him in that race, and he did have everything his way.
Yeah. All right, you've mentioned it, Tony, that so many of these 3-year-old colts are just looking fantastic. Here's Sovereignty, the Bill Mott trainee, the winner of the Street Sense. He had some signs of anxiety, some sweats earlier on, but he's been handling himself like a champion as he's gotten settled in here.
And it's also about, the history. So we were able to dive into it a little more, and I guess it's something that he has done in the past. So we can't view it as a negative. If all of a sudden it comes out of nowhere and he's showing this washiness, post-workout in the morning, then there's cause for concern. Now he seems to be on top of his game. I had a friend of mine, I asked his opinion, who's been a trainer for many years, and he thought it was a good sign that he was washing out, only because he felt like they were asking him to do a little more in preparation for the biggest race of his career. He's another one that looks the part. I don't think there's going to be any problem with him finishing with interest. His Street Sense victory was incredible. Go watch that, the final furlong. His Fountain of Youth was absolutely awesome. I mean, I thought he had no chance to win at the 8th pole, and between the 8th pole and the 16th pole, he just accelerated home like a horse that can win the Kentucky Derby. I personally think if the pace is ultra fast, he is the legitimate threat to journalism inside the final furlong.
He definitely gained speed with the longer run in the straights, and getting back to Churchill versus Gulfstream Park that's got that shorter stretch run, I think is really going to benefit him. And I don't think he has necessarily that quick acceleration, that turn of foot, that sort of dazzle, but the longer the stretch, he builds a bigger run. James Scully, is he an A for you? Is he a B for you? What you've seen from him on the track, what you're doing in your handicapping, where's he at?
Yeah, he's an A. I love how he looks out on the track. And Sovereignty is one of only 3 horses of the 21 entrants that has a win at Churchill Downs. The other 2, Render Judgment and Owen Almighty, are 30-1 long shots. Not only does he have a win, but he showed a terrific turn of foot on the far turn in that Street Sense. I loved how he put his body down in the stretch of the Fountain of Youth in the Florida Derby. He's going to be rolling late in my mind.
He's going to be rolling late. If that pace does heat up with all those front runners drawn to the inside, and then of course East Avenue, Owen Almighty, they'll be pushing forward, they'll be prompting the pace. We could have a perfect setup for Sovereignty. All right, earlier on we saw some other gallopers. We've got
earlier on we saw early
on. Thank you. Early on.
Nice.
So we were talking about this Safi Joseph trainee, and I thought that she did the dirty work last out up in New York and really looked good in the gallop out, getting her head back in front of Ballerina d'Oro. Let's check her action out, and let's talk to Caitlin Free. I think she seems focused right now. I think she's got a nice little vibe to her. I think her rider's handling it very well. I think she's behaving. What are you seeing from early on?
Kind of reminiscent, not as maybe quite severe what we saw from Burnham Square, but her head is bowed. She's definitely in the moment here when she gallops, and it's nice to see a horse like this that's really, really focused on their business out there and just really enjoying themselves, it looked like here with early on. So like to see this from her.
Yeah, I like to see this too. And when you say the word enjoying, I mean, that's what I'm thinking when I'm seeing journalism. Like really, when these thoroughbreds are able to get into their best spot, they're able to fully realize and enjoy all the strength they have, all the speed they have, everything they can do with their magnificence, with their bodies, with their power, right? And find all the different steps and find the different energy they get from striking the ground. And that's what we're seeing, I think, from early on, definitely seeing it from journalism. It's just amazing to see these horses in action. They love their job. They love what they can do. They love their relationship with the rider. Just a great testament, as always, with these Oaks and Derby horses about the beauty of this sport of horse racing. Does this move her up For you, Tony Kalo, he seemed a little bit down on her. Can a little gallop, can a little energetic move in the morning affect your handicapping with a horse like early on?
You know, I try not to let it influence a lot of my handicapping. I basically base a lot on past performances and replays and expected pace scenarios. I will say this, she seems like she is improving with each and every start. I thought she had a more favorable flow than Ballerina d'Oro in the Gazelle. I think Ballerina d'Oro will get a much better trip in the Oaks. She's going to be able to do her better running from further back. She was a little, you know, just couldn't quite seal the deal. But hey, she's training great. I love it when they bow their necks. You know, that was what we saw with Burnham Square, like Caitlin alluded to, a happiness. And when the way Burnham Square looked, that was pretty cool. And she's showing that as well. She's pretty full of herself, and rightfully she should be.
Yeah, she should be. She's on the sport's biggest stage, ready to make that run for the Lilies, trying to see if she can follow in Torpedo Anna's footsteps. We've seen all the greatness that 3-year-old champion has gone on to do for Ken McPeak. All right, who we have here is this, there we go, Baeza. So we mentioned this, that drilled on Monday, back galloped a 1.25 miles yesterday. We'll see what the distance is he does today. Is Sheriff's trying to push this one forward? Scully, do you think that we're trying to make sure that this one moves forward, that we get the most as we prepare for that run in the Kentucky Derby? How are you assessing the way that he's being handled this week and how he's moving?
Putting these long gallops into him just to build stamina. I mean, the horse is bred to, you know, for the Belmont at 1.5 miles. But Baeza was a May foal. I think he's like the youngest runner in the field. And, you know, he's behind the 8 ball in a sense and experience. Just broke his maiden 2 starts back. He's been a little bit green, immature in his last 2 races, I thought, in the stretch. So it's a tough challenge. And Sheriff is just going to, you know, try to put some stamina into him in his morning gallops.
Yeah, you know, you can just kind of see his speed pick up as he goes further, right? And this is what the trainer has been saying. This is what you see in the pedigree, is that the longer they go, building up that stride, building up that rhythm. Tony, this is how I am when I'm on the treadmill. I start slow. And I build. I need to really get into it. I'm a closer, built and in terms of my mind. Baeza definitely is showing that ability to quick and late. We've got a runner in the paddock, schooling Anna's Promise.
You know, that's how John is trained over the years. You know, Bob has his horses, they train fast. You know, Bob's horses go fast when they don't even look like they're going fast. John has always trained his horses with these stamina type of drills. That's why you see a 7 furlong, 128. John might be asking a little bit more of Baeza this week in anticipation that he's not going to draw in and then he's going to have a horse ready to rock and roll in the Preakness, because I would have to assume that's where he's going next if he doesn't make the Derby. It's an easier trek from Louisville to Pimlico.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I think it's good to see him pushing him, that he thinks there's more there. His energy seems good. So as I mentioned, Anna's Promise, just schooled in the paddock, getting comfortable with that environment. It's going to be mayhem on Kentucky Derby Day as 150,000 filled the crowds. But here's one that ran second to 5G, made that big move forward, was just claimed from Dale Romans 2 back. We were watching her in Kentucky last year, you know, as a 2-year-old. We saw her to have some talent. Do you think she's found her right home and she's ready to rock and roll this next Friday?
Well, I don't know if she has found her ride home for an entry this Friday, but she's done good for the trainer. You know, another one that's going to have to improve her game. I don't have her on my list, but that's why we run the race, Kev, because, you know, if you're in, you've got a shot. You have to get in, and anything can happen.
Yeah, I often think that big move forward in that last race. Are we going to hold form? Or are we going to bounce? Are we going to regress? I have her regressing, but you never know. That's absolutely the truth. Sandman, we haven't seen him on the track. Is he still looking as confident and holding himself in the way that he has been since the beginning? We've seen it, and we've heard from it from Mark Casse that he didn't want to do too much with him. He likes right where he is. He wasn't trying to get him to offer a big drill to get fitness into him. He knows that the longer he goes, the better. I think he's looking to keep that same energy that we've seen for the last week and a half or 2 weeks, whatever it is that we've been seeing Sandman. Kaylin, you have such a good eye for the horse. Are you seeing positive energy from Sandman? Are you seeing anything different from him this morning? Maybe we lost Caitlin. James
No,
Scully.
I'm here. Sorry,
Oh, that's
I cut
okay.
out for a second.
No, you're good.
As far as Sandman goes, he's a horse that I don't know. I'm 50-50 on him. He's going to get the distance, no question. He is a beautiful type of a mover. He just kind of reminds me of a horse like Tapatrice in the Derby a few years ago that took a lot of money, and I just think maybe wasn't as refined in some other areas as some of the other horses are. I was watching him school in the paddock yesterday. He was doing fine for a lot of the time, and then he just got really amped up. He got warm. He got a little upset there in the paddock. So I just kind of have some questions about Sandman as far as maybe some of his greenness goes. Gets out of the gates sometimes a little bit on the slower side. I do think he is absolutely progressing in the right direction. His best days are ahead of him. Just the question marks of him in a 20 horse field may be a little bit too great for me.
Yeah, I mean, Jose Ortiz, this is his mount up on Sandman. I like that you're putting this one up next to Tapatrice. Mentally, I'm seeing it. But in terms of physical build, this is much more scopy runner, has a bigger sort of stride and more, I think, more suited to this track and the distance. But I see what you're saying in terms of the mind. Tony, what are you seeing from Sandman? What are you seeing from his energy? Does he have a shot in here?
Well, he definitely has a chance because he should get the good pace, and he does his best running in the concluding stages. He hasn't run his best races here at Churchill. I think his energy looks great on the racetrack. He hasn't turned a hair. You know, a little bit of concern with the way he acted in the paddock yesterday because it's only going to get worse on Saturday. I am a little concerned with some of his antics. You know, if he gets away slowly, you don't want to give ground. Even though you're a closer, still you don't want to miss the start. And he had a little greenness in the lane in the Arkansas Derby. I think that was more just somewhat circumstantial in the sense that Jose asked him with the right and the horse responded, and then when he went to the left, he came back. So, you know, he just was doing what he was instructed to do. I am not going to use him in the top spots, but he will probably be included, obviously, underneath. I've got him probably third and fourth because I have to respect if he comes with a big late run.
All right, so I'm loving what I'm seeing from Sandman.
Yeah.
As we look at the crowd, love what I'm seeing from everybody, all the spectators coming out to see these morning movers. All right, we've been able to come up with our opinions. We've been watching them in the morning. We've been doing the handicap, and we've been talking about it.
We don't care about your stinking opinions.
Tony Kalo, this is our last show.
Okay.
Just one more tomorrow. Take us through your Oaks top five first, starting with the bottom and working up.
All right, my Oaks top five. Can we get the graphic? Because I forgot who I put in fifth. All right, there we go. Drexel Hill at 30-1. Come on, let's bring her in. You know, I liked her turn of foot when she won the Busher. I know that was a one-turn race, but I'm just hoping, like I've been talking about, a very quick anticipated flow. When she ran second to Simply Joking in the Silver Bullet Day, she had to be a little bit more forward. I think she does her best running from off the pace, and it's 30-1. Drexel Hill. I think Tenma's not getting enough respect. Everybody's talking about how the speed figure was so poorly in the Santa Anita Oaks. Bob Baffert has already mentioned the racetrack was a little bit on the slower side. It was looser, a little cuppier. Perhaps she didn't take to it as well. She also needed that race desperately, and it wasn't like she, the thing I liked about it was she finished up in style. She had more in reserve. I think there's still something there, and at 12-1, she is offering value. I think Simply Joking has been working sensational. I have her ranked 3. I have a little bit of question marks with the distance. She's by Practical Joke. I think Practical Jokes are a little better in one-turn races like that 7 furlong, a 1 mile race. So the 1 1/8 of the Kentucky Oaks just might be a tad too far, but boy, she showed a lot of gameness when in defeat to Quiet Side, and that was her first race in more than 9 weeks. Number 2 is Quiet Side, and it's a beautiful morning line for us fans as gamblers, 8-1. She hasn't done much wrong of late. Boy, she has looked sensational competing in Arkansas leading up to this. We saw Torpedo Anna win the Fantasy and use that as a prep to win the Kentucky Oaks. I like her post position. We have seen horses in the past, Pretty Mischievous, Untappable. They have both been able to win from that outside draw. I think it's a good trip for her. And then Good Cheer, obviously a perfect 6 for 6. 6-5. She doesn't offer us much value from a morning line standpoint, but it's hard not to have her as the number 1 contender for the Kentucky Oaks. Unblemished in 6 career starts, a race with expected flow, a good pace up front. She can put herself into the race and pack a big punch home in the concluding stages. There she is, and those are my top 5, Kev.
All right, Tony, keep it with you, and let's talk about your top 5 Kentucky Derby contenders.
Well, I have Baeza ranked 5th because I think the upside is there, the ability is there. Whether he's going to draw in, that remains to be seen. I didn't want to not have him in my top 5, and then all of a sudden he's on the also eligible list. I think he's a horse that we're going to hear from as the year continues. Citizen Bull, I have to admit, I really have never been a big fan of this horse. I thought all of his victories early on in his career were much to his liking. He had everything his way, but he did take advantage. But he has made a very favorable impression to me here in Kentucky, the way he looks, the way he's been working. He needed his race in the Santa Anita Derby. I know it wasn't by far anywhere near his best race, but boy, I'll tell you what, he draws that rail, and we haven't seen a horse win the Kentucky Derby since 1986 with Ferdinand along the inside. Bob Baffert and Rodriguez, Citizen Bull on the inside, making a good impression at 20-1. The horse that has really moved up in my rankings is number 3, Burnham Square, number 3 on my list. He has looked sensational, Kev. I mean, we just saw him galloping. I've never seen a horse bow their neck in that fashion. That was just awesome. It gave me goosebumps. I've owned plenty of horses. I've been on the backside of many racetracks around the country, mucking stalls for many, many years. And it's nothing better to go out there and watch your horse gallop and bow that neck. And it's just a great thrill. This horse is coming into the race in fine fashion. Sovereignty, I've been a big fan of him throughout. I didn't really know a lot about him until the Street Sense. I didn't even pick him in the Street Sense. I remember Joe Christofek had him as his top pick, and that was when he graduated. He looked awesome that day. I thought his Fountain of Youth was by far, if not the best prep I've seen. That final furlong in the Fountain of Youth was incredible. And journalism has done me no wrong. And Scully, if you're giving me 7-2, I've got 200 now in the pocket.
Journalism is going to be on. I haven't seen many lists without him in the top 5. He's such a fantastic contender here, a deserving favorite. My top Oaks contenders in here. I've got one lone A. I've got 4 Bs.
Okay.
I've got 4 Bs. The rest of them would be sort of wild cards underneath in terms of getting that win. So these are fillies who I think could win it, and I do just have 5 that I think are contenders. Let's start with Quiet Side. She was very game to fight off Simply Joking there to get by her. For John Ortiz last out at Oaklawn Park. I think she's moving in the right direction, showing everything we want to see in terms of the works sense, and ready to run back to that form. Can she move forward? She's going to need to take on my A there with Good Cheer. La Cara. I think she took advantage of a forward track at Keeneland, but the work that we saw since then makes me think that it didn't take anything out of her. Maybe she was able to get that advantage, but that's not a knock on her, right? It was how the track was playing. I think she's going to be going to the lead. If they let her go, watch out. But she definitely has huge energy coming out of that from Mark Cassidy. La Cara, a big-time contender. Simply Joking. I've been able to watch her in the mornings, watch her in her races, trained by Whit Beckman. He's always felt very, very strong, and that Simply Joking was his best filly. I think that she continues to impress me physically in the mornings, as well as maybe an excuse against Quiet Size on the inside. Not sure if that was the best spot to be. Touch of trouble, but she's sitting there right on the cusp of as fast as a few of these other ones. She's going to have to move forward. She might be able to be a stalker too. I think we've seen her in that first race come from behind in terms of the stake, her stake debut, and handle trouble. I thought Simply Joking was fantastic. 5G, I think she's a little bit of a contender in here in terms of one who can press but not need the lead, but will be forward. But Good Cheer was sort of sitting on the same race time and again, but she moved forward last out. Getting it done there in the Fairgrounds Oaks. Her mind, her maturity, her barn, coming out of Brad Cox's barn, what he does and what they all do in that barn with these fillies is always so impressive. Her works, her energy shows me that she's not only holding form, she might run her best race ever. So Good Cheer, my top pick. Kentucky Derby. Here's my top 5. Sandman. I loved, especially, he maybe moves up a little bit what I saw from him this morning. I think he's handling himself quite well. I think he's one that's coming into his best race, and I think he's a big-time contender in this one and could get the win. Coal Battle. Here's a runner coming out of Lonnie Briley's barn who I think has that tactical options. He can be forward. He can come from off of it. I like when he relaxes. I like when he comes late. He's that little engine that could, as Caitlin Free put it, I think Coal Battle is going to be able to get a piece. Don't love him to win it quite as much. Journalism, we've been singing his praises. I'll say my knocks when I don't have him in that one spot. Facing small fields, took advantage of a track, I think, on Santa Anita Derby Day where you did not want to be forward, that you wanted to come from off of it, and he ran down a lightly raced Baeza, right? Now, what we've seen from him on the track, the way he's moving, I could sing his praises all day long. He'll be in a great spot, but there are just a little bit of question marks at a short price that's making me wonder if journalism is one that we need to single. Luxor Cafe. Visual test, his acceleration, handling deep tracks in Japan. He's been sensational. I think his work that I saw yesterday from him makes him a big-time contender to get the win. You definitely want to use him. And Burnham Square. Ian Wilkes, runner, has been targeting this race, has been looking, and the bar has been aiming for him to unlock his best race here on that first Saturday in May. He's sitting there after running to the top. If he goes forward from this, watch out. He will be the Kentucky Derby champion. He's going to have to come from off of it. He's got Brian Hernandez Jr. up. He's going to have all the confidence in the world to get it done after he got it done with Mrs. Dan last year. So Burnham Square, that's my top pick for this year's Kentucky Derby.
Awesome. Great.
Final thoughts. We'll go around the horn. We'll begin with James Scully up on the 4th floor with that view of the crowds, of the horses. James, after seeing what you saw today, where are you at?
Well, I got to say, guys, I really enjoyed that interview by Caitlin with Michael McCarthy. I thought he made some great points. Another, terrific morning of training on the track from journalism. Sovereignty as well, another great impression from him. I just saw Flying Mohawk go by. I thought he's a little bit of an intriguing long shot with the possibility of rain, and got one more morning to formulate those opinions, guys. So let's go to Caitlin on the backstretch for her final thoughts.
Well, thank you, Scully. I'm with you on Flying Mohawk. We need to maybe think about some rain in the forecast as things continue to kind of move around. We'll have a better grasp on that probably Friday. I do think there's a chance we will have an off track on Friday. So Bless the Broken is one I'm very interested in, especially if we do get an off track for the Kentucky Oaks. She's one that really moves up for me over a track with some moisture in it. Will Walden has just glowed about her ability over a surface that does have some moisture. So she's going to be one that I'm going to rank highly. But my Oaks and Derby top 5, they're going to be out tomorrow, so you're not going to be able to see them today.
All right, Tony, what about you? Any new thoughts or just more of the same?
More of the same. I've been saying the same thing kind of over and over for a couple of weeks. It's been awesome watching all these horses work and thrive. Like, we've talked about Burnham Square is the one that has really moved up the rankings the way he's looked in the morning. But I'm pretty bullish with my top 2 and no reason to backpedal from there.
Yeah, I'm right where I'm at. But I was looking to see if we were going to see any flat sort of efforts to see Sandman out there just a little bit droopy after showing high energy. And I'm just not seeing that from anybody. I think these Colts and fillies are ready to roll for their best efforts on that first Friday and Saturday in May. All right, we've got our final show comes up tomorrow. We've got Twin Spires always in our back corner, but 6:45 to 7:45 is the time as we can see Bob Baffert, Todd Pletcher, 2 of the best in our sport looking on. Tony, Kalo, it's been great.
Yes,
Caitlin Free, James Scully, all the team. Thanks so much for you.